Hello again, everybody. It's Plowboy's Ghost Channel. I'm going to do a short little video for you showing you something. It's kind of a rant. Not really a rant. Anyways, it's something that irritates me, and what I've done here is, first of all, help me welcome home a brand new Cimarron 1860 Richards Transition Type 2 in 45 coat with a full 8-inch barrel. And yes, you see case rims around that recoil shield, or the ring, whatever you want to call it, conversion ring, but those are empty cases. There's not a single one of those that have a bullet, primer, or powder in them. That's going to get us to what I'm here to show you. I get it. Like I said, I get irritated about things I see online. This is kind of like the 40 grains of black powder. You see all of the people say it won't fit, you can't do it. Well, you can do it, prove it. So here I'm going to show you something too. I can't say that this would be applicable historically to anything, to any model, because this is a modern U-birdie reproduction, which might be just a little bit oversized from what I understand. This gun is also chambered in 45 coat, which the originals were not. To the best of my knowledge, they were not, ever. Excuse me. And so this might only apply to this one. I don't know, can't say. There is no reason, although the Duke of cowboy action shooting, and I am not talking about Duke Frazier. Sorry, Duke. I didn't think about somebody might take it that way. This is for people who are not playing the cowboy action games, which I would like to play. Got nothing against it. I would like, if it was somewhere less than 2.5, 3 hours away from here one way that was doing it, I'd like to go do it. I don't think I'd be any good at it. People like the Duck, they experienced. They clean my clock on the scores, no doubt. Got no delusions of grandeur. I'm talking about out here in the real world, carrying this gun. If you're going to do this, carry this gun like I carried, which, by the way, y'all, I know I'm kind of getting rambling a little bit, but I've only had this gun 3 days. I think that, yeah, this is the third day. And this happened on the second day. I took the spaghetti sauce. It's easily, shows its own dents without, don't even have to get to the wood in that original U-birdie finish. Looks good until it gets the least little dent or scratch, and then it looks like crap. So I took that mess off, stripped it off with some chemical stripper, and then just put some dark walnut stain on it. I'm going to hit that with the stain a few times over the course of the next, I don't know, 20 years, however long I own the gun. So back to the point, as you might have figured by now, I have got, put her on half cock, hoping you can see this. And at this time my lens ain't fogged up. This is take 2 video, coming from the air conditioned house to the 220% humidity southern air in September. I've got 6 cartridge cases, empty cases in this gun. Now, just like this gun is built internally, pretty much just like, if not just like, the cap and ball coats that have the little pins between the chambers, between the nipples, where you can lower the hammer safely onto them to keep it from turning. If it doesn't damage those internally, regardless of what other gun channel much bigger than mine says that you're going to damage one of these by doing that, dropping the hammer from anything less than full cock, I say you know you're not. That one is now locked between case rims. There's 6 loaded. 6 empty cases loaded. It's locked between case rims, and it does not, unless the only damage you could get to one of these is if the bolt was up against the cylinder somewhere between these locks and you turned it manually by hand, then it would wear into the finish. This does not spin the cylinder whatsoever until the bolt is retracted into the frame window. Right now that gun is locked between chambers. There ain't a thing in the world wrong with that. It's got 6 loaded, and you do not have to, except for in cowboy games, of course, because that's the rules. But out here in the rest of your real world, if you feel comfortable, don't do anything just because Plowboy says it. Don't take medical advice from me neither. Don't take safety advice from me either. We got a county cop coming. Y'all hang on just a second. I know he's not after me. for a fact. He's going too fast to make a turn into this driveway. But I figured it would be a little irritating to talk over him. Hope whatever he's going to, there's nobody hurt, you know. But anyway, you can't tell me, I don't remember exactly where I was in this rant, but you can't tell me there's any reason to make your 6-shooter or 5-shooter with this particular gun. Like I was getting at, don't take advice from me. If you're not comfortable with this, load 5. I promise you that gun is a little bit safer, probably in some way, maybe a little bit safer on with a hammer completely down. Of course, that hammer's not back enough to even hardly, you could measure it with calipers, I'm sure, but it's not, no, you couldn't measure it with tape measure. Back from where it would, you know, from being fully down. I'm sure it would be just a touch safer, maybe, on an empty chamber. But then again, your 6-shooter would also be a lot less likely to go off accidentally or incidentally or whatever if it was just completely unloaded. So if my thinking is, if this is safe enough for me, for my sensibilities, then why would I leave it on an empty? Because if safety is all I'm worried about, then the gun's unloaded or it's in the house or whatever. You know, if it's that mindset is all I'm concerned with, just like me touching the trigger and stuff, I'm sure there's still people flipping out because they've read stuff and they've learned stuff and their instructor said, and they're just not used to being around these. They're not used to handling them every single day, carrying them every single day. I get it. Everybody's sensitivities and sensibilities are different, and it's really not my intent to make anybody feel uncomfortable or unsafe, but it's also not my intent to kowtow to the people who have different sensitivities than I do. No offense, but you do you, I'll do me. So this also works, as you might imagine, on my open top, 5.5-inch open top. It's a non-conversion Uberti Cimarron that I've got in the house. I've tried it in both of them. It works exactly the same. I wish that I could do this with my 1858 Remington Army, but I can't. It don't work the same as you might imagine. Let's see, are those? Yeah, those chambers have reset where your case heads are recessed into them. Yeah, if I'm not mistaken. So that couldn't work. The rims ain't sticking out to catch them. Now I'm probably going to go in there and look at it and have to eat those words and feel stupid about it, but that's the way I remember it. I know I tried it on a couple of them. I tried it on some of my Colts, 1873 Colt single action armies too, and it seems like one of them it worked and one of them it didn't. So I'm going to have to do more research on that. But if I'm going to do a little side rant off of that, I'll try to make this quick. I have been personally witness to a Cimarron Uberti Thunderer and 45 Colt dropped 6 loaded, hammer in the safety notch, 2.5 foot from a seated position onto a concrete floor onto the hammer, and it did not. This is years ago, by the way, and I'm not saying that I was the fool that did it, because that would have been admitting that I didn't have a good holster and that so I'm not going to admit that if it were me, and it's probably not. But that did not break that safety notch, and all of this you hear online and repeated over and over and over again that this is the way it was done. Colt sold that gun, the 1873 single action Army, with that as a safety notch, intending for it to be used with 6 rounds and carried in that safety notch. I can't say who did what with it because I didn't live back then. I don't know how many people loaded 5. I don't know how many people loaded 6. But we live with a lot of modernisms repeated in 2021 as though they were historical fact that probably aren't anywhere close to historical fact. Some of the biggest gun channels do it. Just like some of the biggest gun channels, won't mention any names, will tell you that you will damage that gun by doing that. Although it's built just like the Captain Ball gun that sits between the chambers, a lot designed that way. So I don't believe everything that I see or hear. I mean, everything that I hear. I don't believe everything that I hear. I believe a lot of what I see, but I don't believe everything that I hear or read online. Once again, this is just one person's opinion. You don't have to do it my way. Do it however you feel comfortable. I'm just showing you this is what I found. Maybe that'll help y'all. Maybe it won't. I appreciate y'all watching. Talk to y'all later.